A Short and Wholesome Tale of My Youth, by Yuzerubiya Sintheru. When I, F26, was around 10 or so, my family and I took a trip to a museum that had a display on ancient Egypt, including actual mummies laid out in display cases. Me, being the history nerd I was absolutely ecstatic. I'd read dozens of books on ancient Egyptian history, studied the mythology, etc. I was over the moon to be able to see a real live, dead, mummy. We'd been at the museum for about an hour, with me loving every second, when a group of school kids came through with their teacher. They were impressed with the mummy I was standing by, too, and started asking questions of their teacher who didn't know the answers. I did. The first words out of my mouth were, "Do you want to know how they embalmed them?" So, I spent the next half hour telling the kids everything I knew, from how they dried the body, to why they removed certain organs, to the ancient Egyptian belief in the afterlife. And they were eating it up. Afterwards, the teacher came up to me and said something like, "You're the youngest docent I've ever seen. You do work here, right?" And I said no. That I just loved ancient history, still do, and wanted to share everything I knew with people so they'd love ancient history, too. She looked really surprised for a second, then laughed and told me I'd done a really good job, and that I should consider a job at a museum in the future. Still my favorite memory from that trip. Oops, by user Miss Quack. I do not, and have never, worked at a grocery store. I do go to the one near my house several times a week, though. An older gentleman approached me today to ask where the peanut butter was located. I knew this answer. I may not be getting paid, but I'll help out where I can. It's on aisle 6 or 7, near the condiments. I answered confidently, and the man was on his way. I looked at the app. It's on aisle 13. I'm so sorry, sir. Karen, serve me and my family. Me, the nerd, this is gonna be fun, by user Raptor 2020. Hey, everybody. This happened a little while ago, but I'm finally getting around to posting it. So, I'm a college student, and this happened near the end of this previous semester a few months ago. I was just finishing a long day on campus, attending classes and doing homework. I ended the day with a meeting with a professor who was the head of a program on campus, so I was dressed in business casual to make a good impression. When I left campus after the meeting, my wife texted me she had gone to see a movie with some of her friends and wouldn't be back until late, so I decided to go grab a bite to eat at one of my favorite restaurants on my way home since I wouldn't get to eat dinner with her. I stopped at a place that's well known for breakfast all day. So, I stepped inside and out my name down for a table, while chatting with the hostess, as I work in the food industry part-time and like to chat to restaurant workers. Once my name was down, she said it would only be a minute or two until my table was ready. As the hostess went into the back for a minute, I realized I had a coupon for the restaurant in my car, and decided to go retrieve it. Right then, I hear the door open, and as I turn around, I see a Karen and her 4 kids standing behind me. Characters in this story. Me, yours truly. M, the Karen of the day. C1, Karen's oldest child, maybe 13. C2, Karen's second child, maybe 9, the other kids don't really play roles. CD, chill dad, Karen's husband. He was out parking the car, and didn't enter for a few minutes. AD, awesome dude in the booth next to me. H, hostess. Now to set the stage, I was still in business casual, with my best jeans and a blue button-down shirt, with a slight scruff of a beard from several days not shaving, making me look a bit older than my actual age of 24. I was also wearing a lanyard that I carry my keys on, highly recommend this, actually, as it greatly reduces lost keys incidents. All in all, I'm not surprised she initially confused me for some kind of manager, but, as we all know, first impressions are all that most Karens retain. M, yes, I need a table of 6 for my family. Me, I don't. M, cutting me off, ugh, did you hear me? I need a table for 6. Seat us or put our names on the list. Really, how did you get a job as a manager if you don't know how to help customers? Now, to set the stage for how I am about to react to this Karen. I'm a major nerd, and I'm proud of it. I'm also well known by friends and family for being able to quote lines from movies. And one of my favorite movies of all time is The Princess Bride. It's a perfect movie, and one if the best ever made. I adore it, and my dream is to one day open a Princess Bride themed restaurant. Now, I have pretty much the entire script of Princess Bride memorized, and, By chance, I had watched it earlier that day while working on a homework assignment. Yes, I sometimes play movies while I work on homework, so the movie was fresh in my mind. Somehow, I'm not sure how, an idea formed in my head, and I thought I'd have some fun with this Karen. Me, look, I'm retired. The owner's stinking son fired me, and thank you for bringing up such a painful subject. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice on it? Stunned, splattering for words as she clearly didn't expect a response like this. C1, grinning and looking like he's trying to stop himself from snickering. I'm guessing he's seen the movie and recognized the line asterisk. Me, wanting to get on with this and jar Karen back to her senses so I can have some more fun. Anybody want a peanut? Well, I never. How dare you talk to a customer like that? You're a terrible manager. Me, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Still not getting it. What is wrong with you? I should tell your boss to fire you for treating customers like this. You should be ashamed of yourself. C2, Mommy, I think this guy. Shush. Let me sort this out. Turning back to me, get me your manager. Me, beat it, or I'll call the brute squad. Getting red in the face and splattering in anger. Right then, the hostess comes out. It's quickly clear she heard most, if not all, of the interaction, as she's smiling and trying not to laugh. Sir, I can seat you now. Deciding to keep up the fun, and not able to help myself at this point, I turn to the hostess and ask, I do not mean to pry, but you don't happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand. Both the hostess and C1 are trying not to laugh while M is fuming. However, before she can explode, the hostess whisks me away to my table. I try to ignore Karen from that point on and start perusing the menu. As I'm trying to decide between a pancake breakfast or steak and eggs, I see the hostess taking the M and her family, now joined by her husband, to their table. The M spots me, glares, and has her kids sit down before she storms over to my table with her husband to back her up. I prepare for a little more fun, hoping she'll say something I can work with. You should be ashamed of yourself. I've never been treated like that in a restaurant, let alone by management. Even if you're on break, you should be helping customers if they ask for it. What's your name? I'm reporting you to corporate. Me, praising the heavens she gave me the chance to use the golden line, hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. The M looks stunned. But the husband's cheeks balloon out and I hear a hiss of air escaping his pursed lips as he tries to stop himself from exploding in laughter right there. I know now he's also seen the movie and understands exactly what's going on. I can now see Karen start to realize what's happening. Right then, a guy in the booth behind me, turns around and sees, this guy's not a manager, lady. Can't you tell that by now? I can see the gears finally turning in Karen's head as she realizes her mistake and the situation she put herself in. But, still wanting to save face, she says, well, there was no need to be so rude. Even if you're not an employee, you could have been nicer to us, or at least called an employee for us. My response, that would be totally inconceivable. At this point, the husband deserves an award for holding in laughter as he manages to get honey, this guy's doesn't work here, let's just leave him be. The Karen concedes and sulks back to her table. Grinning like a madman, I return to the menu, and end up ordering the pancake breakfast. Yes, I like breakfast for dinner. The M and her family also order, and end up getting done before me, and I eat slowly when by myself due to the need to play games on my phone while eating. As the M and her family are leaving, I can't help myself getting in one last laugh, and raise my hand to wave as I say, bye-bye, boys. Have fun storming the castle. At this point, laughter can't be contained, and the husband, C1, the hostess, and several patrons start laughing. Even the M, calmed down by now and realizing what I'm doing, can't help but let out the smallest of grins, though she refuses to look at me out of embarrassment. Then, my day is made as I hear a voice from the booth behind me continue. AD, think it'll work? Me, grinning, it would take a miracle. Both of us, bye. The family walks out, and I give AD a fist bump. My server, who had heard the whole thing, brought me out a pair of sausages on the house as thanks for the entertainment. And that, my friends, is how I defeated a Karen with the help of the Princess Bride. Author's note, think it's fake if you want. I don't care. I still enjoy the memory. Book Fight, by user Bedlam Sita Limit. Story is what I can remember of the event as it was decades ago. This is what happened to the best of my recollection. Back in the early 90s I was in secondary school, high school, in the UK, and I was pretty badly bullied. One of my bullies stole my school bag, unzipped it and threw it upside down into a bin, garbage can. All my school books and other stuff inside was ruined. The school had to replace all my textbooks and workbooks, but as this was the 90s they did naff all about the bullying. The school culture of the time was kids need to work this out for themselves and only stepped in when they were witness to any violence. This culture changed at the end of the 90s when several high-profile bullying stories, ending in the victim ending their own lives, and the backlash forced schools to change their policies on bullying. I was given some money, by my parents, to buy a French to English dictionary as my old one was unusable, as well as it stank of rotten food. On the way back home one day I walked into a store, the now defunct store chain Woolworths, as they had a book sale on. I was looking in the book section for about 10 minutes when I found the last French dictionary and I could just about afford it. I then felt someone try to snatch it out of my hand from behind me and I quickly turned around to see a woman scowling at me. Now I was a big kid, starting puberty long before my friends, and I had a mustache at the age of 9. I couldn't fit into a standard school uniform, so instead my parents bought me a suit and we had the obvious school's badge stitched into the breast pocket of the blazer. I was also wearing a school tie as well as having a duffel bag, school bag, hanging from one shoulder. The employees and management all wore shirts, name tags and black trousers. I basically said, "What the hell, lady? I found this book first," and she just screamed at me incoherently at me for a few seconds before shouting, "You shouldn't be buying things while on the clock and sale items should be sold to customers first." I looked at her for a few seconds, out of confusion, and said, "I don't work here." Well, she didn't like that and then pushed me in the chest with both hands, knocking me backwards over the stack of sale books, and I somersaulted backwards over them out of sight, landing at the other side of the sale display with half the display's books falling on top of me. The display was in the middle of an aisle. At that I think the manager was running over, proclaiming, "What happened here?" The Karen then screamed that I, the employee, assaulted her and tried to steal her book, which I was still holding laying on the floor face down. The manager said, "I was watching you from back there," pointing to the other side of the shop, "and I could hear you screaming at this kid." The Karen said, "What kid?" I calmly stood up, from behind the display, brushed myself off and said, "I'm 13 years old. I'm a customer and," pointing at the Karen, "she just assaulted me by pushing me over these books." At this the woman looked like a deer in the headlights and bolted out the store, not saying a word. The manager apologized and gave me the dictionary for free. I used the money my parents gave me to buy an art book. My mum was not pleased to have to sew my trousers, as tumbling over the stack of books ripped a pocket and part of my trouser leg down the seam. Some happy nuggets, by user Dutch Nuggy. So this is a thing that happened today. I don't really know if this story really fits in this category, but I didn't know where to put it otherwise, and I really like to share this story. This story isn't about some crazy Karen assuming I work somewhere I don't. It actually made me quite happy, laughing face. So I work at this fast food chain with a huge yellow M at the roof as a manager, and a few of our trash cans in the kitchen were broken, so another manager asked me if I wanted to drive to a store to get 2 new ones. But I couldn't park near the store, so I had to park my car a bit further away. So I went to grab some trash cans and I was headed back to my car. This all in work clothes, so while I was walking back to my car I walked across another store where they were doing some constructions and 2 women were having a smoke outside while I walked past them. So suddenly I hear, "Wait, there is a McDonald's here." It was actually like a 15-minute drive, so I explained that the McDonald's wasn't in that shopping center and I worked somewhere else. So the ladies asked me where my work was and they were sad that I didn't have any McDonald's with me. So I thought this was quite funny and drove back to work to finish my shift for like 2 more hours. And as soon as I was done I was thinking about the 2 ladies, so I got them 2 boxes of 20 nuggets and drove back to their workplace, still in my work clothing. As soon as I walked across their store I saw them, so I shouted, "I've got a present for you." The moment they saw the bag in my hand they started to laugh and shout of excitement. They were so happy that I actually brought them some food. After that we had another little chat and they were so sincerely happy with the food I brought them, and after thanking me another 100 times I left them with their nuggets having a huge smile on my face. This was a few hours ago and I still have the biggest smile on my face thinking about this little joke just because I was getting a trash can in my work clothes. Remember guys, it's all in the little gestures, laughing face.